In a world where the news gets twisted, John and Tom stand tall, never wished it. MAGA hats on, they take the stage. With laughter and facts, they break the cage. Unsanctioned voices feel less and bold. Turning the tide, watch the truth unfold. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight. Lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, debating the nonsense of the woke parade. With every punchline, conservative trade. They tackle the issues with humor and wit. In Unsanctioned America, they won't quit. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite. As John and Tom class through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight. Lasting through the night, shining light. So tune in tight, let the laughter ignite. As John and Tom clash through the political night. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight. Lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, together they rise, wear their pride like a crown. In Unsanctioned America, never backing down. Unsanctioned America, hear their call. With a duo on fire, they'll never fall. From the heart of the right, they bring the fight. Lasting through the night, shining light. Oh, shining light.
Is known for very happy, fun-loving people, great attitude, many in this room right now that I've met. Why in the world would you let Rosie O'Donnell move to Ireland? I think she's going to lower your happiness level.
That's true. Thank you. I like that question.
Mr.
Do you know you have Rosie
President,
O'Donnell?
are you expecting?
Do you know who she is? Yeah.
I'm joking.
You better off not. You better off not knowing.
President Trump.
Welcome to Unsanctioned.
Republicans are marching America to a painful government shutdown. But we need traditional Republicans to break with MAGA extremists so we can keep the government open.
Republican shutdown will cost 6,306 of her constituents their paychecks.
Put the bill on the floor for an up or down vote so we can end this MAGA Republican nightmare. And if you don't, you own this government shutdown.
And we could put the threat of a shutdown behind us. Our agreement would keep the government open, provide emergency aid for communities battered by hurricanes and other natural disasters.
It's about the harm that House Republicans will do to the American people if the government shuts down.
One Democrat said to me they feel like they have a mandate from their constituents to shut down the government.
There are some raising the possibility of shutting down the government in March.
We will use whatever power we have, and fundamentally, we're not going to vote for something that undermines the American people.
To withhold votes, do Democrats have the stomach?
I certainly hope so. I know that I'm not going to vote for their proposal for sure.
Are you prepared to shut down the government, to join Democratic colleagues who want to stand in the way of keeping the government open?
Well, there are simply trying
yes?
So yes, look, if we have to take steps.
14 days from now, government shutdown is looming.
If we don't believe that we have a willing partner on the other side, then we need to stay united and not bail out President Trump.
And yet, at the same time, in order for a lot of voters to fully understand what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are doing, people are unfortunately going to have to feel some of that. And the only way that that happens is if the shutdown happens.
Well, we're going to talk a whole lot more about that at the top of the show, John. But definitely that first clip, funny as all get out. Rosie O'Donnell moves to Ireland to escape the United States. Why would they ever want her in Ireland? I have no idea.
I think what a nightmare this must be for Rosie O'Donnell. She leaves to Ireland, and then the fact that she is in Ireland becomes a story in and of itself.
Yep.
It's hilarious. It's great. Welcome to another episode of Unsanctioned America. Like Tom is right, we are going to be talking about this shutdown that was averted. Well, we're going to talk about a whole bunch of other stuff as well. It's been a couple of weeks, so let's go through these headlines and see what we're going to talk about tonight. Unwanted guest in Ireland, talked about that. The party of hypocrisy, you saw that in the second clip where I guess the Democrats can't make up their mind whether they want to shut down or don't want to shut down. Like,
nope.
It depends on what they think hurts Republicans, not what really matters to Americans. Dems point the finger at each other, still find themselves without direction. Ukraine comes closer to peace, even as Zelensky stutters. Houthis dig themselves out of debris after Trump loses patience with the terrorist group. Americans liking the new direction we're going. America's newest export to El Salvador. We'll talk about that. That's a great export.
Yeah.
Great thing to get out of your country.
Absolutely.
Astronauts have been saved. The astronauts who have been stuck in space for 9 months were saved. Protestor is the #1 race for liberals. Funding sources are being looked into for those same protests. Is America the new Mecca? We're going to talk about what's happening in some of our cities across this country. The FAA puts out a job ad, and they're looking for cheaters. We'll talk about that story. And then Tim Walz gets about a high school class full of people worth audience to show up for the Walz rally.
Unbelievable.
He called it balls to the walls, right? Something like that. And it ended up being 19 people. So it's not the most exciting.
It gave them an ounce of hope, John. Just an ounce of hope.
Literally announce.
Unreal.
And more on this episode of Unsanctioned America. We're going to do a quick prayer, and then we're going to get right down to the show. We got a lot to cover, and we're going to try to do it as quickly as possible. Lord, we are truly grateful to live in this wonderful country, this great country. We are watching a huge ship right itself, and people have talked about the analogy that it takes a long time for a big ship to turn around. Apparently, it just took one great captain, and he's doing a great job. Most of Americans agree. People are enjoying the fact that the United States is back on its pedestal of leadership in the world. The world feels safer. The United States feels stronger. American families are already feeling happier. And this is what we were all hoping for. So we just want to give you a bit of gratefulness and as we enjoy this grace that you've extended to us. In your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. All right, let's talk about some
Tom,
news.
Let's get to it.
And excuse me if you hear me with a dry cough. I've picked up this dry cough. I don't know why. Every time I go on an airplane and I come home, I get this dry cough. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know why. It's terrible. It's bothersome, but it is what it is. So I'm going to try and not cough during the show or mute the cough. Let's see how many times you can catch me coughing on the air tonight. All right, so first up, John, let's talk about that shutdown, that CR. The shutdown was possible, but it didn't happen. It was going to happen, but it seems that shutdowns are only bad when Republicans are doing it, right?
Well,
and
so they think.
Yeah, originally, and you saw that video at the top of the show, the Democrats were unified. They were going to vote against the CR, and even Schumer was talking about that he was going to vote against the CR. Here he is.
Mr. President,
the Democratic leader.
Funding the government should be a bipartisan effort, but Republicans chose a partisan path, drafting their continuing resolution without any input from congressional Democrats. Because of that, Republicans do not have the votes in the Senate to invoke cloture on the House CR. Our caucus is unified on a clean April 11th CR that will keep the government open and give Congress time to negotiate bipartisan legislation that can pass.
All right. So that's how it started, John. And we thought they were going to be unified. They were going to actually go through with a government shutdown. But at the last minute, Schumer walked it back.
Republican rejection leads us to a decision. And it's not really a decision. It's a Hobson's choice. Either proceed with the bill before us or risk Donald Trump throwing America into the chaos of a shutdown. This, in my view, is no choice at all. While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. For sure, the Republican bill is a terrible option. It is not a clean CR. It is deeply partisan. It doesn't address far too many of this country's needs. But I believe allowing Donald Trump to take even much more power via a government shutdown is a far worse option.
Yeah, so there he is walking it back, John. We're not going to listen to the whole thing that he had to say because obviously it's a prepared speech that he wrote. But yes, it's caused a lot of problems within the Democrat Party as of late. And we'll talk a little bit about that, though, John. Why do you think that Schumer caved?
I think that they were afraid that in a government that was shut down, Trump would have a lot more latitude to get a lot of things done.
No.
And Doge. And so they needed to keep the government open in order to provide some more resistance. And they did that analysis just that they thought that if it was open, that they would be able to play the role of the obstructionist.
All right. Well,
so I think otherwise, and they were right. I think they were right. It was probably the right choice. Number one, a shutdown. Who doesn't want a shutdown?
Yeah,
Every
who
American
cares,
wants
right?
a shutdown. Yeah, I mean, Democrats. There's only one group of people that does not want a shutdown. There's two. They both get paid by the same people. All their checks get paid. Are cut by the Treasury. So you have government employees and you have politicians. Those are the only people that want the government to stay open. Everybody else wants it shut down. So if they would have looked like they lost the battle over the CR, they would have looked like they lost the battle because they would have become essentially irrelevant in a government that's shut down. They would have lost on all these small battles because then the president would have had a lot more leeway to get some things done. It would have been a disaster for them. Everything is a disaster for them right now.
Yeah,
he's right. It's a Hobson's choice for Democrats. Meaning that it appears to be a choice, but it's not a choice. Well, they have no choices. They're stuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's bad.
Absolutely. And it's kind of funny to me, John, that this is going on because the House Democrats are really upset. The local Democrats throughout the country are upset. And I think it's the low information voters are the ones that really take this shutdown to heart when they talk about a shutdown. They're talking about shutting down the government. They don't understand what that truly means. When they hear that, they think that it's shutting down everything. Everything's going to shut down. And that's not the case. You and I both know it's just, the extra services. It's not going to be the essential services that are shut down. So it's kind of a joke. But yes, Schumer did come on TV to explain why he voted the way he did. And here's that video.
To have the conflict on the best ground we have summed up in a sentence that they're making the middle class pay for tax cuts for billionaires, it's much, much better not to be in the middle of a shutdown, which to divert people from the number one issue we have against these bastards, these people, which is not only all these cuts, but they're ruining democracy.
All right. So, yes, he wanted to sound tough there, John. Obviously, he said that on purpose. What a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't think that when people think tough, they think Schumer.
No, not at all.
And he can sound tough if he wants to, acting like he really cared. But when you have, he's been the leader of the party for a long time, right? It's him, Pelosi, all this leadership group. They have really put themselves into this position, and they did it in 2016 because they had a president that was accomplishing so much, and all they could do was drag their feet. In 2020, they had to steal an election. And then in 2024, they get their asses handed to them. And now their asses is being handed to them on a daily basis with all these Trump wins. It's because of him. So he's not tough. He's not a great leader. He's not a point of inspiration for their party. And that's what's causing so much strife, that they don't have an identity. They were happy to be everything to everyone. And now you basically have a group of Democrats who have gotten so high off the Kool-Aid, so drunk off the Kool-Aid, that it's either transgender or die. It's either Marxist or die. And there's no walking back to normalcy for those people. So they want to see violence in the street. They want to see revolution. They want to see bad things happen. And there's a lot of the people on the right that want to see the same thing.
Yeah.
But this has staved them off because there's no need for revolution as long as our country is righted. Well, the country will never be righted as long as Americans have the ability to think for themselves and have the rights to make decisions for themselves according to these crazy leftists. So the party now is fighting over who's going to be the future of the party. Is it going to be the transgender faction? Is it going to be the Marxist faction? Who is it going to be? Schumer, who can be whatever's popular at the time, just so that he can win an election. I mean, there's no identity to the Republican Party.
No,
to the Democrat Party. The Republican Party has an identity. It's MAGA.
Yeah. Although the other factions,
agrees.
the other factions within the Republican Party don't want it to be MAGA, but it is MAGA. It's absolutely MAGA.
Yeah.
But you do have a point, John, about
that's 15%.
Yeah.
Right. So 85% want MAGA, and that's it. That's what they are, and they're happy with the results.
Absolutely.
The other people they're essentially Democrats. They just want power.
Yeah.
Right. And they don't like the noise. They don't like the scrutiny.
No, not at all. But you did have a point, John, when you talked about they don't have leadership right now. They have a lack of leadership. But I guess the only leadership they see are the ones speaking out the most, the ones that are the loudest. And they went to AOC, of all people, for reaction to Schumer's vote. And here she is.
For Senate Democrats to completely roll over and give up, I think there is a deep sense of outrage and betrayal. Just to see Senate Democrats even consider acquiescing to Elon Musk, I think it is a huge slap in the face.
Well, we've called her the original dumb girl, John. She really is the New York City bartender who made it to Congress, and now she's there. I don't know. They're talking about making her the leader of the party. Jake Tapper asked Jasmine Crockett if she thought that she should be the leader of the party. And asking that woman, who is absolute trash. I don't know. John, what are your thoughts on the leadership of the Democrat Party right now?
I mean, you're 100% right. You hit it on the head. Who goes to her to ask? You're going to go to some little ghetto princess to ask who the leadership of the Democrat Party is going to be? Are you going to go to the crazy college student with blue hair who has no chance of ever being taken seriously? That's who the leadership is going to be. There has to be some serious person that you go to and you ask who's the leader. And if they had that, they would have gone to them.
Yeah.
But it proves my point. They don't. You have Hakeem Jeffries, right? He's not that serious of a person.
No.
He just wears a suit. You have Chuck Schumer or Schiff. Are they? No, they're barely credible. They just wear suits. That's it. They're not any more credible than AOC is.
Yeah.
So we are in a universe where someone like AOC could possibly be the leader of the Democrat Party. And that is absolutely scary. Imagine that that's their best option. That's not good. That's not good at all.
No, it's not.
Not for them, not for our country.
And it's funny they go into Jasmine Crockett, somebody who obviously is putting on an act. She plays ghetto princess, although I've seen videos of her where she's speaking completely normal. It's all an act, John. It's the flavor of the month. She wants to be like Little Kim or one of these rap stars doing these viral videos that they're trying to do, which are really ridiculous. And AOC, let AOC become the leader of the Democrat Party. Somebody. But no one there has credibility. Like you said, Schiff, he's a criminal. We all know that. He has no credibility. Schumer, he's a joke. All right. He's a joke in a suit. Nancy Pelosi.
And it has been.
She can't even walk. She can't walk. She can't talk. She slurs her words. She sounds like she's drunk half the time. She's not a leader. Who leads them right now? God only knows. Obama from behind the scenes. We know he was leading the Biden presidency. But obviously, he doesn't have the input or pull with the Congress there, the Democrats in Congress, so we're not seeing it there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this all plays out going into 2026 and then the presidential election in 2028. But right now, they are struggling, John. They are struggling really bad, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the show. But anyway, the next big news item of the week was the ceasefire that Zelensky was for before he wasn't for this ceasefire. And it's funny because, we first top of the week, we heard that a ceasefire had been reached.
Today, we made an offer that the Ukrainians have accepted, which is to enter into a ceasefire and into immediate negotiations to end this conflict in a way that's enduring and sustainable and accounts for their interests, their security, their ability to prosper as a nation. I want to personally we both want to thank the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, His Majesty, for hosting us, for making this possible. They've been instrumental in this process, and we're very grateful to them for hosting us here today. And hopefully we'll take this offer now to the Russians. And we hope that they'll say yes, to peace. The ball's now in their court. And but again, the president's objective here is, number one, above everything else, he wants the war to end. And I think today Ukraine has taken a concrete step in that regard. We hope the Russians will reciprocate.
And you know what? I guess John disappeared. Where'd you go, John? All right. John will be back, guys. John will be back. But anyway, yes, we heard at the beginning of the week that this ceasefire had been reached. And then we heard that Putin did agree to the ceasefire. And here's Putin.
We agree with the propositions to stop hostilities, but we proceed from the fact that such ceasefire should be such that would lead to a permanent peace and remove the original causes of the crisis.
All right, so then we heard that Putin was in agreement. He's ready to come to the ceasefire, agree to the ceasefire, and then at the end of the week, we heard this from Zelensky.
I can't be for sure that 30 days are enough for that. I think that from our side, it will be enough. But when we have three parties, three sides, and we'll do everything to have not three but four sides, to be Europe to be included as well, and I would like us to be supported by the partners. It's important for us because, let's be honest, who will fund the support of Ukraine? Who will help in funding of our army? And where will Ukraine be in the security guarantees and its economic component of this guarantees? That depends on European Union. The help is Europe. I mean financial support of the army and the recovery of Ukraine. The whole world wants that, and maybe the whole world will do that, but we rely upon, first and foremost, upon Europe and America. And that is why I think that who we are relying upon, those have to be the subjects of the deal. Europe, the United States, and we the ones who are at war, Ukraine and Russians. That's what I think. And then maybe not 30 days, maybe a bit longer will be needed.
All right, John, real quick, I just want to say
this guy's terrible.
What a great job that Marco Rubio is doing. I'm really shocked at this. He has done a fantastic job as Secretary of State. But real quick, he wants to include Europe and the United States in this deal. This ceasefire is between Ukraine and Russia, not Ukraine, Russia, the United States, and Europe. All he's worried about is money, John. It just seems he just wants money. He's looking at funding for his military, funding for his economy, funding for rebuilding. He's just looking for money from anywhere and everywhere he can get it. I mean, what are your thoughts, John?
Yeah, this is terrible on his part. He's back and forth. It doesn't look like he really wants peace. It looks like he's just trying to finagle a situation. He's trying to get Europe at the table. You know why? Because Europe does not want peace.
Yeah.
Europe wants to continue fighting this war. So he's trying to get Europe involved he's inviting somebody else. He doesn't feel like he's supported to the degree he should be with the United States. So he's looking for somebody else to come on his side, but they have an interest. Don't get me wrong. They have strategic interest, certainly, but they don't have the credit rating to back it up in some respects,
Yeah.
Like they don't even put up for their own military. So are they going to make a bunch of empty promises? $2 billion from the UK, and they're saying they're going to put boots on the ground. That's not going to happen.
No.
That'll never happen. The UK is not going to act unilaterally and go put boots on the ground. They don't even have that many troops. And what's going to happen when they run out of their ammunition? They're going to have to go to the same people to get ammunition, including the United States. They're playing a hand that they don't have. I think Trump said it perfectly during their meeting where Zelensky embarrassed himself. He's overplaying his hand. And without the United States, the Ukraine, right now, they would be changing all the flags in that country. So now, if it weren't for the aid of the United States, and that's what kept this war at a stalemate. And I'm not saying that that's not beneficial to the United States, because to some degree it is, at the cost of very many lives. You basically eradicated a giant chunk of the Russian military. Okay, does that help? Yeah. Me, as John Arguello, as someone who studied international affairs for 20 years, I don't think that Russia is the enemy that neocons and Democrats want us to believe they are.
Yeah.
Are they our friends? Not really. They're acquaintances at a party. But are they looking to get into a fist fight with the United States? No.
Nope.
All they're looking to do is improve their very own circumstances.
Yeah.
And that's by selling oil. Sometimes that step on the toes of the United States, of course. But they're no China. They're not a country that is completely trying to undermine the role of the United States in the world. They don't have that power.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now even less so. So get peace. I would take Ukraine. I'd force this deal, this rare earth materials deal with the Ukraine. And, I would also take that deal that the Russians were giving us.
Yeah.
They have more rare. I would take those also. And I would drive a wedge between Russia and China. That could never be repaired.
Yeah.
And then I would take all of my money out of China and I would put it in Latin America, because that's just south of us.
Yeah.
And I would break China into pieces, because if you create enough economic pressure, they already have political pressure from their own populace for a change.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. That's if I were, had Harry Potter's wand, that's what I would be doing.
it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out this next week coming up. Whether this ceasefire is going to go through or if Zelensky is going to further hold this thing up. I'm willing to bet he's going to further hold it up because that's the guy he is. He's looking for that money, and he's not going to do anything until he has some assurances he's going to get that money. So,
I mean, if Putin too, right?
Yeah.
You never know. Putin might feel like he's like strengthened by Trump's overtures, and he also overplays his hand because we already see him kind of doing that. He's just taking advantage. Now, who knows what he's saying to Trump behind the scenes? He could be saying, I'll sign it. Put it in front of me. I'll sign it. I'm going to keep talking crap in public because, I'm Putin, but the Russian people love him. He's in no danger of losing his position. He's pretty much, this is a victory for Russia. If they come back and he's allowed to keep an ounce of the Ukraine, that's a victory for them. So, right now he's like you. You were just at the casinos. Walk away while you're ahead.
Yes.
Right? You know that. So
yeah. Don't keep pressing your luck. If you got a small win, you know what I mean? Take that small win and walk away with it.
Go back again and at some point and whatever. And that window is closing for Russia's opportunity to ever go back to the well again, because then you will cause war.
No.
Big war. So, but I don't know. I think that let's solve it. Let's end this war. Let's build the United States military to a place that it hasn't been in decades, and let's take off. You know,
3 years of this thing, and this thing could potentially lead to World War III. It needs to end. It needs to end now. We don't need this hanging over our head or to be involved in this anymore. No more funding Ukraine, and no more. Just let's get this over with and done. And I'm praying that we'll get word this week that it is going to be over with and done. But one thing that is definitely over with and done is President Trump's patience with the Houthis, because he ordered a Navy strike on a Houthi target in Yemen's capital of Sana'a. And this was the warning that President Trump gave. He put it out on Truth Social. Today, I've ordered the United States military to launch decisive and powerful military action against the Houthi terrorists in Yemen. They have waged an unrelenting campaign of piracy, violence, and terrorism against American and other ships, aircraft, and drones. Joe Biden's response was pathetically weak, so the under-restrained Houthis just kept going. It has been over a year since a U.S.-flagged commercial ship safely sailed through the Suez Canal, the Red Sea, or the Gulf of Aden. The last American warship to go through the Red Sea 4 months ago was attacked by the Houthis over a dozen times. They were funded by Iran. He goes on and on. I'm not going to read the rest of it, but absolutely, John, the bombs have dropped.
Yeah, Iran also said that they were going to respond in some way.
No.
What a mistake that would be on their part. These are not the smartest groups. Iranians are smart people. Persians are smart people. I think that they have taken such a beating over the last, I guess since 2016 to 2020, that now they're desperate. And now Israel, that really just beat the crap out of them in Lebanon with Hezbollah and Hamas in Gaza, that they're reeling. They're looking for something. They're looking for a victory, because right now, they're in bad shape. They don't have a great record.
Do you honestly believe that the Iranians will do anything?
I don't think that they'll do anything, because, like I said, they're smart. These are smart people. This is a smart. They're far more. They're not like North Korea.
Yeah.
Where they're so afraid of this crazy dictator that they can't speak truth. These are far more sophisticated people. And they just, you don't have the capacity. They're surrounded by, Saudi Arabia, which is their regional arch nemesis. they've spent so much investment and building the infrastructure for Hezbollah and Hamas, and that's destroyed.
Yeah.
So what you don't have them anymore. So you have the Houthis, and Trump just dropped bombs on them. I mean, they're really running out of options. They're if Trump puts the squeeze on them, I guess you could send them into a sense of desperation that they would do something crazy. But I just think that they're more sensible than they pretend to be when the United States has terrible leadership like Joe Biden or Barack Obama, who was giving them money hand over fist, and that was the intention.
Yes.
And you got to wonder why. Why would they give Iran money? They can't be so stupid that they believe that they were going to behave differently than they have in the past whenever they've gotten something. And then Trump comes in, changes the dynamic, and then they behave all of a sudden because they have no choice.
Yeah.
And they're terrified.
Yeah, it's like we'll wait for the next Democrat to get in the office, and then they'll deliver us a pallet of cash.
Exactly. And in the meantime, we'll just present a threat. But right now, the circumstances in the Middle East are not such that they can, because you have Israel's not playing right now. The United States, you can't mess around. Trump, if you mess around in Yemen, then he'll drop bomb on Houthis, right? And the last thing that you want is for the United States to be focused on your naughty behavior. They'd much rather the United States be focused on what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, with China and Taiwan. And so you never know. And right now, China is probably working their timetables. How quickly could we get into Taiwan? How much trouble can we cause around the world? Where can we build these ports where we have access to avoid? Where can we build a canal? Like they're trying to build a canal in Thailand to circumvent where the United States has control over the shipping lanes. There's so many moving pieces. And I don't think Iran wants to. Iran, that's where they thrive.
Yeah.
When there's always something, when they're just a pest, right? They're a yellow jacket, a hornet buzzing around you. They're not like a tiger, trapped in a cage with you. So that's what. But right now, Trump is so much better instincts than what we've had with Biden or with Obama, that they don't know how to deal with them.
Yeah.
They just know they can't mess around because they'll find out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good thing. If we see this continue, we get 4 years of Trump and we get another 8 years of JD Vance, possibly, or whoever that Republican presidential candidate would be, we could see, Iran behaving themselves for a long time, but who knows?
I mean, you could see a normalization of countries like Iran. You could see change in the government of China. I foresee that. We've seen it twice almost, right? You saw the Tiananmen Square. You saw recently where they had all these protests. You never know what's going to be the tipping point, but it's going to happen in China at some point. Who knows when?
Yeah.
But you could see the normalization of Iran and Venezuela and all these other little countries that have lost their minds.
Absolutely.
You could see that, and wow, what a world that would look like.
And the Chinese have had that taste of capitalism. They have had a taste. They do have some Western luxuries in China.
Well, that's how they have prevented it. So, that's how they opened the release valve in China to prevent losing control over the people. They started giving them money and economic freedom.
Yeah.
But at some point, you know how humans are, right? It's just you want more.
Yeah.
You want control over your destiny. And although that there's a different culture, China likes to tell the rest of the world that there's a culture in China, and we're different. And so the system of government that we have is perfect, and it's a Chinese system, but it's not. Because the Chinese system, first of all, they have a very new government. This happened at the end of the Civil War in China. So in 1945 is when this was going on, right? Like this is when this new Chinese system. This is not that old. And this whole government, you have to remember, they had to kill 60 million people in China in order to get them to behave, right? They starved 40 million of them.
Yeah.
So it's that a country doesn't come back from that. You can't correct that until some people go to jail. So I suspect that in order to continue on their current path without having a change in government, they have to go towards Taiwan. They have to go towards these other missions, which keep everybody on the same page. And the economy is not going to do it, especially once their economy begins to slow down because of Trump with tariffs and everything else.
Yeah. All right, John. Well, besides what's going on outside of the U.S., which is, this Ukraine-Russia deal, the deal with the Houthis, what's happening in South America, and Democrats exclaiming that inflation's going up, which is wrong. It's coming down. Complaining about grocery prices, which some are coming down. Eggs are coming down. It does help when you don't kill millions of chickens.
You don't kill all the chickens.
Yeah, absolutely. And gas prices are coming down, which is not being talked about. But it's funny that CNN would play this video, John, or no, I'm sorry, it's NBC News. They did this poll that 44% say the country is headed in the right direction under Trump, up from 27% in November.
First of all, the mood of the country, this really jumped out. We asked folks, is it on the right direction or the wrong direction? That 44% you say right direction, that's up since November. And if that doesn't seem like a lot, the last time it cracked 40%, you got to go back to 2012. The last time it actually hit 44 or higher, January of 2004. So a lot of this is Republicans, but independents, that number is also up since the election on the direction of the country.
Yeah, they had to add that part that a lot of this is Republicans. Really? Okay.
No kidding.
No kidding.
I mean, here's it. 2004, 2012. This is a long time ago. This is more than 10 years. That's 12 years ago since 2012. 13. I mean, this is a huge bump. This is doubling. The people who think that the government is going in the right direction has doubled. I mean, I think that this is what we were talking about in the prayer. Americans feel the change, the shift. We're not waked up at night wondering, how are we going to feed our kids? How are we going to? At least now we think like, okay, things are going to happen. If they're happening good in DC, that's going to come down to me at some point, right?
Yeah.
And we know that because he was already president.
Yep.
We know what a Trump presidency is like. Everybody remembers, everybody who was working when Trump was president, in his second year president, man, the economy was just killing it. And we know that meant something to us individually.
Yes.
And so we're all waiting for that moment to happen. We're all waiting for that to happen. We see the small changes. We feel safer already.
Yep.
You can't dispute it. Not even MSNBC.
No. And you see what Doge is doing and the waste they're finding. And yes, John, we do remember what it was like under Trump. You can feel the small changes. We came to a fork in the road, right? We came to that fork in the road. We could be in a different timeline right now if the country had chosen Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. We would still be down the road that we were going under Biden. But instead, we took the red pill. We went this way. And now we are entering a whole new period of change. It feels great. I'm so glad that President Trump was reelected, and by such huge margins, such a huge mandate that he was given to change things. And we're going to see it happen. I mean, I think 4 years from now, we're going to be so thankful, and wish President Trump wasn't leaving office. But, he has to, of course.
Absolutely.
He has to, of course.
I mean, hopefully in 4 years, we're approving his head to be mounted on Mount Rushmore, right?
Yeah, yeah. And there's talk
we
of
still
that.
have the.
I know Roger
course
Stone
there
is
is.
talking about that, and a couple
Yeah.
others. Yeah. So
I think that we all feel it. Even Democrats can't deny it. The world has changed for a better. And to bring that scenario that you talked about with Kamala Harris winning, that we would all be miserable right now. We
Yeah.
would all be fearful right now. We would all be like walking on eggshells. What an ugly, ugly situation that would be. If that had been the case, this would really be terrible. Now, I know that there's, blue-haired freaks out there who think that the world is coming to an end because Trump won. But when those people grow up and have families of their own, I think that they're going to appreciate that the world is a better, safer place because of this election.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Because imagine if they had gotten elected, John, how they were already clamping down on free speech, how they were already coming after conservatives.
They were already lying.
And it would have gotten a lot worse if they felt they had gotten that mandate and it was Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. It would have been a nightmare, an absolute nightmare.
A nightmare, absolute nightmare.
Well, let's talk about a nightmare for some other people who absolutely deserve this nightmare. And that is news that came down today. These people, these 243 hardened criminals, 238, Tren de Aragua criminals, and 23 dangerous MS-13 gang members, including top ringleaders, they arrived at El Salvador Secot prison from the U.S. today. Wow, John, I could watch that video over and over and over again, and I have already. I watched it a few times, but and we've played we played the tour of Sakat on this show before when they first announced this deal with Bukele that they were going to send these guys to El Salvador, to Sakat. Thank God, John. Thank God that we have this deal with Bukele and that we're sending them off American soil. We're not keeping them in American prisons, because in American prisons, they would be coddled. They would be coddled. They would be treated very well. In Sakat, they're not treated very well. They are actually going to live in hell. There is no comfort in Sakat. The lights are on 24/7. They have a bucket and that they and a toilet. The bucket is water that they can drink from. They have a large basin that they can wash themselves with. There's no mattresses. There's no pillows. There's no blankets. It is the worst possible conditions that you could have and the most uncomfortable place that you could live in. And I think if we had prisons more in line with Sakat, we would have less crime here in the United States of America. But what are your thoughts, John?
I mean, you're 100% right. If we had prisons like Sakat, you would have less crime. Number one, because when you go to Sakat, you stay there for a very, very, very long time. In many cases, you stay there your entire life.
Yeah, you never leave.
Now, yeah, these guys are looking forward to going back to Venezuela, where they eat cats and dogs and rats. So these guys are hoping to get out, hoping to get deported. This is good news, because it just tells everyone, you come here, you commit a crime, there's a possibility that you're going to pay for that crime very severely, and you're going to end up in a place like Sakat.
Yeah.
There's no escape in Sakat.
No, there's not.
there's no benefit. There's no playground. It's not a place where you want to end up. And if you're a gangster illegal alien, that's where you're going to end up.
Yeah. All right, I needed to cough real quick. They get 30 minutes a day, John, to exercise or do church or whatever. That's it. 30 minutes a day. The rest is inside their cell with up to 100 plus other criminals in that cell. It is an absolute nightmare. These guys deserve it. And yes, I think that a lot of these illegal gang members, if they're coming to the United States, they're going to commit crimes knowing the fact that they might end up in Sakat. Hopefully that will deter a lot of this. But yeah, man, and if you want to see that tour of Sakat, you can go on X and find that video very easily. Just type in the search CECOT, and you'll find that tour of this place. It is absolutely incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely
it's not
incredible.
a pleasant stay.
Yeah. They said it's the size of 7 football stadiums.
I mean, certainly these guys didn't come. That wasn't the promise that the dictator of Venezuela gave to these guys. Listen, we're going to release you from prison, but you can go to the United States and you can commit all the crime you want, and you can, you'll get away with it. So
yeah.
As long as you leave now. You want to go? Oh yeah, of course. Sakat was never part of that deal.
No, not at all. All right, John. So before we go to do some other stories from across the United States, we have this beautiful video done by the Dilly Meme team involving the rescue of the astronauts that were stranded up at the space station.
Onishi, the first Crew 10 astronaut through the hatch, followed by Peskov, Nicole Ayers, the first of the Fly's newest class of astronauts to enter, and last Commander, Crew 10, and McLean.
A beautifully done video, John. And you know, before we get into our other stories from across the nation, you know, these astronauts, and I feel so bad for these people. They were stranded up there on that space station, and knowing the fact that Elon Musk offered to go rescue these astronauts during the Biden administration, and Biden said no, I'm sure they were wondering if they were ever going to get rescued, if they were going to be stuck up there forever, if they were going to ever see another human face again, and to see the joy on their faces as they're being rescued by the Dragon 10 astronauts. It's just incredible. I'm glad these people are going to get to come home, see their families, and shame on the Biden administration for leaving these astronauts stranded up there at the space station. It's just unbelievable, John.
It's another despicable display of this horrendous, rabid, partisan attempt to hold on to power. They did not want Elon Musk to get the credit for saving these guys. I mean, you would think that that's what they would do. I mean, they already own all the media, right?
Yeah.
They would have gotten the glory of saving these guys. The Biden administration saves these guys, and they would have made a deal. They would have made Musk look like a bad guy. Musk makes millions in this hostage situation. You know, that's what they would have turned the story into.
Yeah.
So, but they left these Americans sitting up there for 9 months. You're right, not knowing what is it. Why can't we? I mean, and for politics.
Yeah.
I mean, that's absolutely.
I'm sure seeing those same three faces for 9 months, you start to wonder, you know what I mean? And your head starts to, you know, your mind starts asking questions like that. Am I ever going to see somebody again? Am I ever getting out of here? You know?
Well, I mean, just they can be thankful that they didn't have to see Joe Biden and Kamala Harris become president.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that they breathed a sigh of relief when President Trump got elected, because I think they knew at that point, yes, someone's going to come and get us. Somebody's going to bring us home. So, you know, thank God for President Trump and Elon Musk for doing this and doing everything they're doing to protect the United States and move our country forward the way it should be. But we still have people that don't want to move us forward, John. They want to hold us back, and they're going crazy. And these are the leftists, especially in New York City, where they are out of control, completely out of control. God bless the NYPD, because they have their hands full right now. So it starts off, we have pro-Palestinian protesters protesting ICE in the streets of New York. Not only that, but we also have protesters that broke inside of Trump Tower. And we had protesters at the state capitol who broke into the state capitol protesting ICE and Tom Homan. And Tom Homan is here in this video. You can see him clearly eating an apple. But here he is. I wonder if that could be classified as an insurrection, John, you know?
I mean, you know, you could just tell that he does not care at all. He does not even care just a tiny iota. He does not have any care about these guys. I don't think anybody else really does either. These paid protests have already been exposed as exactly that. Nobody really cares about them. It doesn't show any strength. It doesn't provide support for the Democrats. It's kind of like what they did during the presidential speech to the joint Congress, right?
Yeah.
It just made them look dumb. And that's all this does. We know that the majority of these people are paid to do that.
Yeah.
And the people that are paying them are it's not like they're honorable, good people. So it's pointless, you know, and nowhere else are these like cities going to take over, you know, like these protests or these movements going to take over parts of cities the way they did in Portland and in Seattle and stuff like that. And we're never going to see that again. So we know this is just all BS. It's all a show. It's all choreographed and orchestrated for the cameras.
Yeah. Well, one of those protesters that was protesting Tom Homan was an assemblyman in the state of New York. He is also a mayoral candidate for the city of New York City. He is Zohan Mamdani. He is a Pakistani. He is of Pakistani descent. Here he is. You can see him better in this video. I mean, he was pushing up against that police officer. I wonder if that's considered assault.
Should have arrested him.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should have arrested him. That would battery on an officer. So, you know, I think it's hilarious that they're protesting this guy who was at Cornell making Jewish students' lives miserable, trying to intimidate students. And they're trying to act like this guy is a pillar of good strength. And he's on a green card. He's not a citizen. Wow. So get him out of here. I'm super happy that they did that.
Yeah.
I couldn't be happier. Get rid of every terrorist. Get rid of everyone. You're going to protest against the United States. You're going to make an American citizen's life miserable. Out.
No.
Take that green card away.
Well, hopefully they do not elect this guy, John, because that would be
got no chance.
It would be a horrible step in the wrong direction for New York City.
Absolutely, it would be.
But the violence and the protests don't stop there, John. We talked about this on the last show, that leftists are protesting Tesla dealerships now. And this one in New York City, they actually broke the glass. They broke in. Here they are.
Wait, but what are they doing? What is this? Whoa, what the hell? Wait, what is this? What the hell? Where do we get a mouth from? Wait, what are you doing to this guy?
My name's Frankie, and I'm getting arrested today protesting Elon Musk. He bought his way into office. He bought his way into heading a government agency. He bought his power at the expense of the American people, at the expense of our environment, at the expense of our world, and all of the people in it.
Wow. Wow. And it's getting even more ridiculous, John, with people assaulting Tesla vehicles, driving down the road like Cybertrucks, people keying Tesla cars. It's just outrageous, completely outrageous. And we talked about this before. We've talked about that these protests, and we're not talking about the small protests in like smaller markets. Like if you're in the Carolinas and you're in like Charlotte, North Carolina, and there's like 20 people out there with homemade signs, you know, protesting Musk and Trump. These well-organized, huge protests that are happening in New York City with professionally made signs, they are coming from somewhere and someone. And Pam Bondi's on the case, though. She says that she's not going to tolerate it.
People were
are locking up on that. We have someone in jail right now from one of the dealerships. They threw a Molotov cocktail through a dealership. They're looking at up to 20 years in prison. So if you're going to touch a Tesla, go to a dealership, do anything, you better watch out because we're coming after you.
Wow.
And
Well,
if you're funding this, we're coming after you. We're going to find out who you are.
So
That's the key right there, John, is funding this. And I'm glad to hear it coming from our Attorney General. Hopefully something will happen to stop the funding of this, because we have some ideas of who could be funding this, don't we, John?
I mean, I know that the FBI has an idea.
Yeah.
The FBI clearly knows where this is coming from. And they should go after these people, because you're creating chaos. If you're not allowed to yell fire in a movie theater because your ability or your right to free speech is not more important than someone else's safety, right? Well, the person who's funding this, I'm sure they're going to say, well, this is my First Amendment. But now they're setting cars on fire. They're throwing Molotov cocktails. Well, I mean, this is far worse than the screaming fire in a movie theater situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't know. These people need to go to jail. Aside from the fact that they're committing a crime by doing that.
Yeah.
But clearly this is something that they need to get under control. And you shouldn't be able to hide. This is political communications, right? This is electioneering to some degree. So they need to be declaring the money. I didn't have that much of a strong opinion in the Citizens case at the Supreme Court when they decided that, corporations are people and PACs and spend money and hide it and so on. But now I do. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing more sacred than knowing who's paying for this groupthink manufacturing, right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what it is. It's like groupthink manufacturing. It's people like Soros who are funding all these movements that are saying the same thing, making it seem like it's organic.
Yeah.
And it's clearly not. And these protests are not organic either. You might have a couple of stupid kids there that are in college that think that you should, be allowed to harm people, or that should be allowed to change the gender of a child and so on and so forth. But I think those people are rare. The vast majority of these people are actors, people who have been making a career out of being a protester.
Yeah.
And that's, as much as they have a right to do it, we should know who's paying for it.
Absolutely, John, because this is something that's been going on for years. For years, the left goes out there and protests like this. They're the only ones that do. The right never does this. I mean, I've never seen Republicans out there protesting like this.
Oh,
Joe
we don't
Biden.
destroy our own cities and stuff.
No, not at all, but we've seen this. We've seen this with Black Lives Matter. We've seen this with Antifa. Now we're seeing these protests against Elon Musk, calling him a Nazi and all this crazy stuff. But Pam Bondi's not the only one talking about finding the funding. Senator Josh Hawley is talking about it too. And here he is.
And I guess that's why they don't really care about the climate. It was never about lowering the Earth's temperature, because if you really cared that much, you wouldn't burn an electric car, Senator. What about the terror financing angle to hit them with? I mean, if you're giving money to a group that ends up using it to foment violence against people, why can't you go after Soros if he's funding these attacks?
Oh, we absolutely should. We should absolutely follow the money, and it ought to be traced all the way back to its source. And this is why I say, Jesse, the left has gotten by with this for years. This is a great project for the Department of Justice, and they ought to look at all of it. Who's funding these attacks? Who's funding the campus protests? Which, by the way, all of these campus protests, they're all organized, they're coordinated, they're funded. We ought to blow the lid off of that as well. Who was funding the protests in front of the justices' homes, which nearly led to justices being assassinated, Supreme Court justices I'm talking about? The left's been funding all of this stuff. They ought to be accountable for all of it. I love the fact that Kash Patel and Pam Bondi are all about transparency. Let's get some transparency on this dark money that is literally dangerous for the American people.
Absolutely. And I'm glad to hear assurances from Pam Bondi, Because let's face it, John, this rhetoric that the left comes up with and the funding of all these things that the left is doing, and the media, of course, I don't think we would have seen anyone try to take shots at President Trump. And this has been more than once and times that we don't even know about, probably. We wouldn't see these things if that rhetoric wasn't out there and kept being fed to the American people time after time after time, you know?
Absolutely. They are responsible for a lot of the violence. The media, the people who have paid for that, whoever's behind all that, this establishment, this dark money establishment, which is everywhere. We see it in Florida. We see it places, right? We know that it exists, and we know who's behind it, and we know what their intents are. Their intent is simple, holding on the power.
Yeah.
And they are responsible for those assassination attempts, for driving those people crazy. And the problem is that, you know, maybe Pam Bondi and Patel will find out that the FBI was involved to some degree.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great.
Why haven't we not seen the Epstein files also? Why is it taking so long for this stuff to happen? And I haven't heard a lot from Kash Patel. I know that he's working. Pam Bondi needs to step on the gas.
Yeah.
I think that we have expectations. Americans have expectations. Like, all this makes this stuff happen. Don't just talk about breaking up these riots and exposing who's behind them.
Do it.
Which may or may not be illegal. So we just want to see who's behind it, right? But I want to see it actually happen. Let's go. It's already... She's been in her job too long to be holding on to information that has been very clear, made clear by the president of the United States, that he said, let's go, disseminate this information. Let's get it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I know this, John, that President Trump was on TV today. I don't have the clip for the show, but he was on TV today. He was doing an interview, and he did defend Pam Bondi. He said that the information's coming. It's on the way. There's more coming. And coming soon. So hopefully, you know, that is the case, because I know a lot of conservatives are getting tired of waiting. They're getting tired of hearing, you know, that this stuff is coming.
The
it's coming.
president said, get it out.
Yes.
Right? The president said, get it out. So what is it that you're doing? Who are you protecting? What's the sensitivities? Then at least tell us what they are.
Yeah.
Right? Say, hey, listen, there's some sensitive stuff here. We need to find out, you know, there's this, and what's sensitive? It's some identities, you know, there are some state secrets, there are some whatever it is, but tell us and get the rest. As the Epstein's list, there's no state secrets there.
No. That's only protecting Hollywood and probably some certain congressmen, senators, and maybe a president.
Politicians, whatever.
Yeah.
Let them put it out there. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely time. Let's get that out there. This next story, John, it's pretty scary to hear about this. Paterson, New Jersey, has declared themselves the capital of Palestine by their elected officials, the Mecca of New Jersey, John. Unbelievable. Watch this video.
Ramadan Mubarak. Paterson is proud to have the largest Muslim population in the state of New Jersey. And we are a better city because Muslims call Paterson home. And as you can see here in South Paterson on Palestine Way, we are proud to light the Hilal, something that has inspired other cities. As a matter of fact, over 50 cities now in this state light the Hilal, and I'd like to think 60, I stand to be corrected, over 60 other municipalities in the state of New Jersey light a Fanus or Hilal, and I'd like to think that Paterson has inspired all of these cities and towns. Yalla, Zeku, come on.
Please clap.
But I want to brag about Paterson first. Paterson embraces and appreciates Islam. So much so that we are one of the few cities in the country where children are afforded a day off for both Eid holidays so they can celebrate with their families. Patterson is one of the few cities where children in schools can have halal food on in their cafeterias. The children should be clapping for that one. Day off and halal food? Come on, guys, get with the program.
I want to go back to school.
No, they want day off, right? They want day. Anyway. Also, the Adhan, the call to prayer, thanks to the city council and the administration, can be heard in the city of Patterson when it is time to pray. And I also would like to state that since taking office, we opened up the doors of City Hall for the first time in Patterson's history to have a community iftar to break fast in Patterson. This year, the sheriff will join us. That will be on Thursday, March 13th at 6 p.m. And also, Patterson is probably one of the few municipalities where you have not one, not two, but three Muslim city council members as a part of our governing body. So it is with profound pride today that we gather together as one community, an annual tradition we do to start the holy month of Ramadan here in the state's largest city with the largest, with the largest Muslim population in the state. And I would like to thank all of those, thanks for joining us. You want to come up, please? I would like to thank all those that made this possible, but I would especially like to acknowledge our Deputy Mayor, Rod Ode. Some people think he works harder than me, but for the record, he's volunteering and is not getting compensated.
Oh, geez, that was terrible. I don't think that anybody feels welcome in Patterson, New Jersey. I think I've told this story before on the show, but I went to high school in New Jersey, Flanders area. And I used to have a teacher, a biology teacher, and he would tell me, yo, Arguello, you think you're so tough or whatever. You would never survive in Patterson, New Jersey. Patterson is the biggest S-hole city in the entire country. I mean, it is the worst city. The school, you remember that movie? I think it's called Lean on Me. I think it was Lean on Me with Morgan Freeman. That was about a school in New Jersey. And, I mean, if you don't remember the premise of that story, it's about this great guy who comes and turns around the school, but it's in a crap school. Well, I guarantee you go back to those schools in New Jersey, they're all crap schools. Patterson, New Jersey sucks. I'm sorry, write me letters, do whatever you want, but Patterson sucks. Nobody would want to live in Patterson, New Jersey. Now, even less.
No.
Not because it's all Muslims, apparently. I didn't even know that. But because this mayor sounds like a total idiot up there.
Yeah.
Who's begging for applause.
Yeah.
A city is supposed to have, or a city's mission is supposed to protect the well-being of the citizens who live there. And this guy looks like he's looking to make a name for himself or looking to make this city like a Mecca or whatever.
Right.
Instead of just trying to run the city well. And I can guarantee you that Paterson, New Jersey is not a city that would pass the Doge test that you and I talk about all the time.
No, I don't think it would, John. I don't think it would.
Yeah, it's dumb. Not as dumb as the next thing we're about to see.
Yes, absolutely.
But
absolutely.
It's horrendous.
And I want to say real quick, shout out to someone who's watching the show right now who just texted me. I've been trying to mute my sound when I cough, and I forgot to turn my sound back on. So when I was talking earlier, no one heard me. But all I said was that this is very scary. I have no problem with people, whatever religion you are. You could be any religion. It doesn't matter to me. Number one, I don't want you to push it on me. And number two, when you start to segregate yourselves and create your own communities like this, these huge communities, that's problematic. And I don't think everyone's going to feel welcome there, especially if you're not going to integrate yourself into the American way of life, Western way of life. So that's all I had said. And yes, I did have my mic muted and I forgot to turn it back on. So there we go.
I'm not so offended by them by this mayor trying to make I don't know, whatever, the whole religious thing. I wouldn't want to live. Well, we're going to see. Let's look at the next example here.
Yeah, absolutely. The only thing, John, I'd say is this. This is how you get an Ilhan Omar. This is how you get a Rashida Tlaib. And obviously, in Paterson, New Jersey, you've got a whole city council member full. So, I mean, problematic to say the least, but not as problematic as what's going on in Texas, John. This is unbelievable, and I can't believe it's happening there. A 402-acre Sharia city being built in Texas. You are helping fund it. It is called Epic City. Watch this video.
Today, we take the next bold step. We are proud to announce the successful purchase of land for Epic City.
402 acres of beautiful scenery. Welcome to the future of living. Welcome to Epic City. Nestled in the heart of Josephine, Texas. It is about 20 miles and 20 minutes from Epic.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
Welcome to Epic 2.0. Epic City is more than just a neighborhood. It's a way of life. A meticulously designed community that brings Islam to the forefront. A community that blends with nature, crafted to elevate your living experience. With single-family homes, multi-family townhomes and apartments, senior living, and in the heart a mosque and a school. Parks for Eid prayer, carnivals and community events. Multiple fields for sports including soccer, cricket, tennis, and volleyball. Epic City, a housing community where we celebrate diversity and promote unity. Our community is designed to foster a sense of belonging and inclusivity for all residents, regardless of their background. We believe that everyone deserves a safe and comfortable place to call home, and we are committed to creating a welcoming environment
I don't think
all
any
residents can live together in harmony.
The future is in our hands. Together we've achieved so much, and together we build Epic City, the city of tomorrow, starting today.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Epic community, Mubarak on Epic 2.0. MashaAllah, you've come a long way from that first Epic, but it's not just the structure that's Epic, but alhamdulillah, I mean everything that this masjid does. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to put barakah in all that you do, and may Allah azza wa jal make what lies ahead even greater than that which has passed.
My dear brothers and sisters, if this achievement reminds me of one name of Allah Azza wa Jal, it reminds me of Al-Karim. it reminds me how great and generous is Allah Azza wa Jal. Wallahi, He gave us more than we deserve. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put barakah in this project, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it the beginning of many other great projects. Congratulations.
Epic is already an amazing, incredible community, but can you imagine that being exponentially larger, exponentially more beneficial to the believers, exponentially a greater sign that our community has arrived? This is an epic development, and with its completion, inshallah, through the help of all of the brothers and sisters and our prayers, it will be the epicenter
in the West. That's how he finishes it. The epicenter of Islam in the West. Now, this is being built by radical Imam Yasir Qadi, and he's being helped by Texas politicians, John. They're protecting him while he builds this thing. He pulled Texas mayors aside and was assured they have his back. He brags that local officials, city councils, and law enforcement are defending him. He openly declares that Muslims must take ownership of society and gain political power. I mean, this is unbelievable to me that you're going to have a whole city being built there in the heart of Texas, basically adhering to Sharia law. And you had some things to say about that earlier, that they really can't do that, right?
I mean, no, they can't. Of course not. They can all make the choice to abide by Sharia law if they want to, but it has no standing. It has no legs to stand on. You can't uphold Sharia law in Texas, or even in this town. There's a lot of debate about this in Texas right now, this town. And me personally, here's what I care about. How do they treat the American flag in this town in Texas?
Yeah.
And what are they preaching in that mosque?
Yeah.
If they're preaching anti-American sentiment, then the entire town is dirtied by that. If they are desecrating the American flag and putting up a crescent or the flag of Palestine or something else, then that, kills it off for me.
No.
Otherwise, I don't care. I mean, I would love to build a Christian city, a Christian state. It's important to know that each of the 13 colonies, they say that we don't have a national religion, but the 13 colonies each did declare, Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, in their constitution.
Right.
So I can see why people would be offended by this. And it's only in this country, it's specifically because of our way of life that they would be allowed to make this city here.
No.
Otherwise, they wouldn't. I can't go set up a Christian town in any of these Middle Eastern countries. I would get my head cut off.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think that's something that they need to keep in mind.
Yeah.
I don't know. The guy, this I was reading about him. This guy, Yasir Qadi, Dr. Yasir Qadi, he's from Saudi Arabia. And, they have a very strict interpretation of Islam in Saudi Arabia. So this is not like Islam from Indonesia or Islam where it's just still kind of, conservative, but it's certainly not Afghanistan, right?
Right.
And it's nothing like Turkey, where it's, Turkey's far more modern. So I mean, I don't know. I would, if I were in Texas, I don't know that I wouldn't be resisting this. At the same time, I'm not that offended by it in principle if they were like this pro-American Muslim group. So, I mean, you can't control what somebody else's religion is.
Yeah, absolutely.
They can't do Sharia, so I don't care about that. To me, that's like a clickbait type of reaction, right? Like, if they have a Sharia town and they try to enforce Sharia law, then I would buy a house there and I would sue the crap out of them.
Well, I mean, I mean, absolutely, you know, but the developers are, you know, Islamic themselves. They're going to decide who they're selling to. And, you know,
they would never sell to me.
No, not at all. Not at all. And, you know, this is part of the plan of radical Islam is to build an Islamic enclave with no city oversight, secure political protection from local mayors and officials, mobilize Muslims in political activism to elect their own candidates, and, you know, expand Sharia influence through legal battles and political pressure. So, I don't know, John. I'm very worried about this and seeing these things pop up, and they're popping up everywhere. I mean, we see this happening in Patterson now, over in Texas. You know, Governor Greg Abbott is aware of this now. I know that the leader of RARE, which is Rise, Align, Ignite, and what's the other one? The other are Reclaim. Amy Meck has brought this to the attention of Greg Abbott, and I don't know. We'll see where it goes from there. But yeah, this is very worrisome as far as I'm concerned. I don't know. I mean, that you're going to create this whole segregated community, a city, just for yourselves. I mean, that's not what America is about, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, you know.
I mean, that's what the Middle East is all about.
No.
You know, in the Arabic places, you can only be Arab, you can only be Muslim, you can only do this, right? In the Jewish state of Israel, you can only be Jewish, you can, you know, whatever. So I certainly don't want that for the United States. I can appreciate the right of these people to build a city like this. At the same time, my concern is really about how they view this country.
Yeah,
you know, that's my real fear. Are these radicals, in fact, people who are preaching anti-American, anti-democracy, you know, that they want to take over our country with Muslim? Would they even entertain the idiocy of someone like Ilhan? You know, if yes, then these, you know, I mean, I don't like the fact that they can make a city because they're idiots, not because they're Muslim.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's the point, is that you want to integrate yourselves into a Western city and go by American laws, not by Sharia law. But they're building this whole city so that they can practice Sharia and do what they want and not integrate with Western culture. And we've seen this happen in Minnesota, and that's how we got Ilhan Omar. We've seen that in Michigan. That's how you got Rashida Tlaib, you know, Patterson, New Jersey now, and their city council. Now we see this happening in Texas. This is, I don't know. It's something,
I mean,
something to be concerned about for sure.
UK.
Yeah, look at the UK. I mean, the UK has been.
The UK is a good example.
Taken over.
Of basically losing your identity.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully we don't see that happening here in the United States. You know.
No, I don't think so.
I hope not. But it doesn't end with Epic City, John. They are expanding beyond Epic City. They are also going to have Epic Ranches. Epic Ranches. Here's that video. This is the sales pitch video. Watch this.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brothers and sisters, I'm sure many of you have heard of the amazing project that we're doing known as Epic Cities. We are, alhamdulillah, constructing an entire city half an hour from downtown Dallas, literally 30 minutes from our own Plano Masjid over here. It's going to be a city of over 1,000 people. Alhamdulillah, we launched this website last year and we sold the entire phase 1 within days. Because of the demand, we are now opening up Epic Ranches. Epic Ranches is an exclusive opportunity for those who want to be within minutes of Epic City, but also want larger plots. We have 2 Epic Ranches. Epic Ranches 1 begins with 1 acreage and goes up to 5 acreage. And Epic Ranches 2 has plots of ½ acre and also investment opportunities for those who want to build condominiums. Brothers and sisters, this is a limited time opportunity. It is an amazing time to invest for the future, not only in yourselves, but of your children after you. We are inshallah ta'ala going to change the entire da'wah scene by demonstrating to the world what it means to be a Muslim living in the West. To talk about the financial details, let me bring in our brother Imran Chaudhry. Many of you know him as the president of Epic. He's also in charge of Epic City, and he will be the liaison for Epic Ranches as well. Brother Imran, Bismillah, come on in. Assalamu alaikum. Alhamdulillah.
Assalamu alaikum. Dear brothers and sisters, for a very limited time, if you pay full, you get a 10% discount. And also, for your convenience, you can book a lot with $30,000 earnest money, and you can pay the remaining balance by June 15th. That gives you almost 4 months to pay your down payment or pay the full amount. And if you pay the full amount, you still get 10% discount. This is a very, very limited offer. For me, more details, go to www.theepicranches.com or call me 469-766-4395 or email us, ask.
Enough of that. I don't think I've ever seen a Muslim infomercial, but there it was, John, right there.
I mean, for as sophisticated of a project as this is, you'd think that they could get a good videographer.
A little bit more professional presentation there, you know.
Yeah, but for 10% off.
10%.
I mean, listen, this is a 400-acre facility over 2 counties in Texas, and I think that they are getting a lot of resistance, and probably for good reason. You know, before you decide that you're going to build a 400-acre city, then you should get with community leaders and really, this is in Plano, Texas, essentially. You should, I don't know, build some cohesion with the community and so on, because they're getting a ton of resistance.
Well, they're getting that resistance now, John, because this has been brought to light. Originally, this thing was really hush-hush. Nobody really knew what was going on, except for the elected officials around there who have been funneling money to this project, to these imams, you know, through different grants and things like that. This got brought to light by Rare, and now it's all over the place. People are finding out about it, and yeah, they're getting resistance. Yes, because, you know, people know, but, you know, when no one knows, who cares, right? And I imagine this is happening elsewhere too. It's not just happening in Texas, Minnesota, Michigan, and Patterson, New Jersey. We're probably seeing it in other places, but no one knows about it. So no one's talking about it. Nothing's happening, you know?
Yeah. I mean, this is I mean, if this were happening here, it would be a worthy of discussion for sure.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know. I know that Abbott has been fighting against this thing. You're not allowed to have Sharia law. You're not. You can't have a separate set of laws. So it makes no difference. Yeah. I mean, just stating that, though, is what brings about my worry.
Yeah.
You know, like, how anti-American
having to say it, John.
Yeah.
Having to say it. And you know what? It's like I said before. I don't think you or I care what religion you are. As long as you're a good human being and you do the right thing, you try to do the right thing, we're not going to have a problem with you. You know, for me personally, it's when you try and push it on me, or when you try and segregate yourselves and create your own situations separate from everyone else, and you're not trying to integrate into the American way of life and Western culture. And
for me, it's like when you try to change that, right?
Yeah.
You're changing the system that we have here to something else.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to anywhere in the Middle East. I didn't go to Pakistan. I didn't go to Saudi Arabia. I didn't go to any of these Middle Eastern or Muslim countries, Muslim-dominated countries. Why? Because I don't want to. So I wouldn't want that here. And it doesn't matter whether I drive from Miami to San Francisco. I wouldn't want that. Wherever I pump gas, stop to pump gas, I wouldn't want that. I'm certainly not going to want to be subject to any Sharia law or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so I guess we've beaten this horse quite a bit. So let's move away from this story. But anyway, we will keep an eye on what's going on there in Texas, what's going on in Patterson, and other parts of the U.S. that might be having this happen there. So this is an interesting story, John, where this FAA instructor, he's a DEI activist. He was caught promising to share exam answers to certain people, certain minority air traffic control wannabes. And this was uncovered by Daily Mail. Here is that video.
Washington Suburban Associate members, brothers and sisters, listen, it's been a really busy time for me these past 4 days. I know that each of you are eager, very eager, to apply for this job vacancy announcement. And trust, after tonight, you will be able to do so. I am asking that you give me another 15 or 16 hours. Allow me to go to work and come home, provide you with an email that will be extremely crucial in the opening stages of this hiring process. There are some valuable pieces of information that I have taken a screenshot of, and I'm going to send that to you via email. Trust and believe it will be something that you will appreciate to the utmost. Keep in mind, we are trying to maximize your opportunities, and I'm doing the very best that I can with the time that I'm given. Today when I get off at 11 o'clock, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to finish out that email. I'm going to send it to each of you, and as you progress through the stages, refer to those images so that you will know which icons you should select. Now, I have a good mind to send it to one of my HR representatives first and give them the opportunity to sign off on it before you actually click it. But in the sake of time, I'm going to send it directly to you because I'm about 99.99% sure that it's exactly how you need to answer each question in order to get through the first phase. People have been getting rejection notices, and those rejection notices have been coming after about 24 to 36 hours after clicking submit. And I want to avoid that. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our time, and we're going to make sure that everything that we click on, and you're going to even have to go back to your resume and make some changes because one of our members and I have caught something, and we want to go back and we want to fine-tune those details. And I guarantee that will give us the very best feeling that we could ever get in applying for this job. VRAs, those that have received tentative offer letters, we want you to apply for this job anyway. Messages came back saying do not give the agency an opportunity to say they never gave you one. So apply for it anyway. For everyone else, stand by to stand by. Later on this evening when I get home, I'm going to finish those emails, and then I'm going to go back to planning for the Black History Month program. And then I'm going to process all new members enrollment forms. And then I'm going to send out my emails to the managers of the FAA regional headquarters and thanking them for my visit. And then I'm going to get back to handling some important business for the VRAs. I think we may have an opportunity, VRAs, to do something that others probably would find impossible. I found that answer talking to people in HR. So give me an opportunity to do what I need to do this evening, and I guarantee after that you will be able to apply for this job.
Man.
Wow.
I mean, imagine if a white guy was saying, listen, all you whites out there, I'm going to send you an email, and that email is going to give you the answer so that you're guaranteed to get this six-figure job with the government. People would be outraged.
Yep,
right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and this guy's basically promising. They're saying minorities, but I mean, you can guess who he's talking to his brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing. Listen, if this were a guy where, let's say he was in the army and he's talking to a bunch of soldiers, he's like, hey, listen, all you army guys out there, I'm going to get you a job here. I'm trying to work it out, whatever. I would be less offended by that than this. And I don't care what race that guy is. If he was Filipino and he was talking to Filipinos, if he was Hispanic, talking to only Hispanics, if he was Jewish, only talking to Jews, either way, it doesn't sound great.
No.
And especially because this is the government.
Yep.
At the government, you can't do that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just, man, this guy should be fired.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if he has been or not, but he should be fired. Like immediately, he should be fired.
You see all these things that are happening, John, with airplanes right now. And I'm not talking about, airplanes catching on fire and stuff like that, but, just all these incidents that are happening regarding the FAA. And then there's these people that are saying, especially the Democrats are saying, oh, well, things were safer under Buttigieg. No. This is the reason why we're having these issues, is because of lax standards and people doing things like Mr. Shelton Snow here, giving the answers to people who are not qualified for the job. And you put people in these positions that are not qualified for the job. They go out there, they do the job horribly, they do the job wrong, and bad things happen. And obviously Mr. Snow doesn't realize that. He doesn't get it. But I'm glad somebody did and reported his ass, and now we'll see what happens with him. Hopefully he will get fired, John.
I mean, I don't know why it would take this long. It's been 3 days, I think, since they broke that story. They need to fire him immediately.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, John. So to finish up the show, we're going to talk about a kind of funny story. Tim Walz, he's doing these town halls.
Brother.
He's decided to do these town halls across the country. He's obviously not ready for his 15 minutes of fame to be over, so he wants to put himself out there, do these town halls, and prove that Democrats have some hope that they can actually win in 2026 and 2028. He did his first town hall in Des Moines, Iowa, and this was it right here. This is some footage from his town hall. All right, let's scan the room one more time just so we can see. I just want to see this again. Let's scan this room. This is, his one big town hall in the state of Iowa. I'm sorry, John, but I don't feel like that's a whole
pathetic.
lot of people. I mean, that looks like a library auditorium, and it's barely full. I would say maybe 100 people. Maybe I don't know.
That's pathetic, is what that is. That's, I mean, clearly this guy's running for president.
Yeah, I think that's probably what he wants to do, and that's what he's trying to do here is keep his name out there so that he could try and run in 2028. He was a joke as the VP candidate, let alone him trying to run for president in 2028. Please forget it.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. He's going to be. I think that he thinks that she was the anchor on him.
Well, that's a good argument right there, John.
Of course, he listen, and he's horrendous. Don't get me wrong. The guy, they call him Tampon Tim. That's the worst presidential nickname in the history of nicknames. The guy has a horrendous record. And worse, the Democratic Party is already moving on from that stage of their development, right? Putting tampons in men's bathroom. The country's moving on.
Yeah.
So what is there for him? What are his chances? Like in Florida, we were talking about Pizzo, right? Senator Pizzo.
Yep.
That guy made himself moderate.
Yes.
He's saying, I'm not crazy. I never wanted no boys and girls locker rooms, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But you never fought against it. So as far as I'm concerned, you're the same.
That's right.
But Tampon Tim is out. Gavin Newsom has a podcast where he's bringing Republicans to his podcast where they basically destroy him. Okay. This guy is I don't know. But Kamala was so bad that he probably thinks still, in spite of my nickname being Tampon Tim, Kamala Harris is what destroyed my career.
Yeah. Yeah.
And quite possibly she was that bad.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. I mean, the argument could be made that who was worse, Tim Walz or Kamala Harris? But yeah, we're going to have to keep following his town halls and see what the turnout is at these town halls. I have a feeling that they're not going to get past 100 people, probably less. And I'm hoping that the next one, it's going to be 15 or 20, something of that nature. We'll see. But if he goes to 2028, still being Tampon Tim, the Tim Walz that we all know, he doesn't stand a snowball's chance in hell. All right, not even close. If he tries to go moderate, no one's going to let him live down being Tampon Tim. He still doesn't have a chance. With Pizzo, like you said, yes, Pizzo went moderate. He went straight to the middle, and he's going to try and make that run for Florida governor in 2026. And as far as Gavin Newsom, and that's funny that you mentioned that his podcast, he brought on Steve Bannon and Tucker. This is going to be interesting because now the people on the left, the Democrats, are beating him up over bringing Steve Bannon on the show. He's getting slaughtered by the Democrats. I don't think there's no coming back for him either. Even if he tried to run as a moderate, John, I think he's done with Democrats and Republicans aren't going to vote for him. So he's done.
I mean, who knows? If you put Tampon Tim, who has these allegations of him and teenage boys, and Gavin Newsom wins, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Between the two of them,
yeah.
The two of them, but is America ready to vote for a Gavin Newsom? No, not even close.
No, of course not. Not even close. But they don't have anybody.
No, they don't. They don't.
They don't have any. They don't have anybody. What are you going to do? You have Schumer. You have Schiff. You have
Schiff. Nobody likes Schiff, so forget about him. Schumer's too old.
You have Yum Yum's boyfriend.
Yeah, no one likes him either.
Nobody likes it. Yeah, I mean, these are.
I heard Buttigieg is going to try and run again.
All right, so Mayor Booty, I don't think so. I don't think so. He looks the most sane, but he was like planes, trains, and automobiles the whole time. He destroyed everything that had wheels on it as transportation secretary. I don't see it. I don't see it happening.
No. It's going to be interesting, when 2028 rolls around, to see who they put up, because they truly don't have anybody right now. And I think it's going to be a dark horse.
I want to see JD, how he develops over the next 4 years into a presidential candidate.
Yeah.
Because that's going to be the determining factor. If he becomes that full maned lion in 3 years, they're screwed. If he says I'm gonna be Trump 3.0, and we're moving forward and make America great again and America first, and we see that he's honest about all that, or we feel that he is, that he doesn't sell out to the swamp, because that's the kiss of death to Republicans, right? Is the establishment swamp. But if he continues, then I mean, they have absolutely zero chance. There's a better chance of Trump and J.D. Vance starting their own party and it being the Trump party versus the Republican Party, and the Democrats are like libertarians. You know?
Yeah, that would be the best chance, especially for the Democrats, because they don't have, like we said, John, they don't have anybody right now. It's going to be a dark horse. They're going to pull out. I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like Obama back in 2008, where you see someone local that we talked about for a very long time, someone very young, that they try and put up there. And
I know who you're talking about. You're talking about the boy congressman.
Yep.
But I don't think so either. I think that, listen, he's not ready for the big time because he's only focused on himself. It's so evident. He can get out there and scream like a little girl all he wants. But at the end of the day, people look at him like, man, this little B.
Yeah, he's not as refined and finessed as Obama was. I mean, Obama was very refined, very finessed. The boy congressman is not.
Obama was ready.
Yeah.
And the child congressman is not.
No. But who knows?
Darren Soto. I wouldn't
maybe
be
in 4 years.
Darren Soto.
Oh no, he would get eaten alive, John. He would get eaten alive.
I think
he survives here. Chance. He survives here because of the money he gives to these developers and the ranchers, and that's how he survives here. Well, but he would never survive.
I wasn't going to say president. I was going to say lieutenant governor or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, who knows what his play is next?
Yeah, so we'll see if he feels. I wouldn't be surprised if he tried to move up because he does.
Yeah,
this is the time. He's thinking about it. He's posturing, and that's why
he's been so outspoken now. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
he's been outspoken, and we've seen the party take a hit at him. And I've never seen the party go after him. So, shocking to say the least.
The party here loves him.
Yeah, but they took a shot at him. So
I'm talking about the Republican Party here locally.
Oh, the local party. Yeah.
The Republicans and Democrats, they can't get enough of them because they're all so corrupt. And Darren Soto is just as corrupt as they are, so they love him.
Yeah, we have a serious uniparty problem here in Osceola County. That's for sure. There's no doubt about that. All right, John. Well, that's it. That's all we have. The show clocks in at 1 hour and 57 minutes.
All right, awesome. That's way too long. Hey, thank you so much for joining us, for watching. Good number of people that were watching. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. Please like and share the show. Follow us on all the social media feeds. Until later on in the week at some point when we do Unsanctioned Florida, we'll see you then. So thank you. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.
Well, I mean, I was entertained, to be honest.
I think it is rich beyond measure. The fact that a school board member that has tens of millions of dollars of conflict of interest before this board has the courage to come up here and talk about anyone's behavior. If anyone should be ashamed of themselves, sir, it should be you. And I'm in favor of you being able to speak your mind no matter what. That's how we get, remember when we were kids, right? And you had a problem with somebody, and then your dad would kick you out to go fight with that kid, and then you shake hands, then you go home, and then you become friends. Disgust when they're trying to, take this word and give it meaning that it doesn't have. Like our entire country needs to go through a fasting. You see all of these new age hippies, right? They're constantly fasting. They're doing starvation diets, or they won't eat for this. What is it called? Like some kind of
intermittent fasting. It's not just us, and not just fans of President Trump, MAGA Republicans. We're not the only ones.